All right, hey guys, welcome to the video. If you're new here, my name's Curtis, and today we're gonna be talking about the house of Labo. So Labo's a fragrance house that I experienced a bit later on in my journey. I had reservations about them because I knew that they used some of their fragrances in hotels. And also it kind of went down the line of being, I kind of saw them as being a bit hipster in a way. But one day I decided to go into the Labo fragrance store, and I experienced a few of their fragrances and absolutely loved them. So I think, my way of thinking before was just a little bit ridiculous, and I regret not giving those fragrances a chance before. But I ended up picking up another 13 and Ténor 29, and I absolutely love both of those fragrances. So actually when I went and picked up Ténor 29, they gave me a sample of Rose 31. So this is my official sample here. And they also gave me a sample of Baie 19. So these two samples I'm going to be giving you my first impressions of. I've never smelled these before, so I'm excited to see what these two fragrances have to offer. So if you're curious to hear my thoughts and opinions on these fragrances, then let's go. All right, so first up, I think I'll go ahead and dive into Rose 31. So let me open up my sample here, open this up, and Labo samples, they don't come in like sprayers. It's like little blotters or dabbers here. So I'm going to put this one on my left arm. These are a little tricky to open sometimes too. But I'm gonna give it a little dab here on my left arm. My left hand rather. Okay, it's kind of running all over the place. Let's see what we got here. When I'm doing samples like this too, I prefer to put it on skin versus on a blotter. I feel like it just gives a more accurate representation of the wearing experience. I think I need to put a little bit more, to be honest. I don't think I got enough on there, so okay, that may be a bit overboard. Okay, we'll see what we got here. So it seems a bit spicy. I'm definitely getting some spicy tones here. There's a bit of an underlying greenness. And I feel like the rose, it's a very subtle hint of rose. Like it's not very rose dominant or rose prominent, at least not off my skin at the moment. And there's like an underlying kind of slight funkiness off my skin. It almost smells like cumin. It might be cumin. I haven't looked at the note breakdown or anything like that, so I'm not sure, but I know how cumin kind of pops off my skin sometimes, and I kind of feel like that's what this is. And for me, this type of smell is a bit unpleasant. Now, in terms of the opening, I would say that I do not like this. And there's a bit of like an alcohol-y type of smell here as well. But yeah, it's definitely giving me kind of BO vibes. But there's a lot more here. There's a lot more depth to this than just that. But I think when I saw the name Rose 31, I felt like this was going to be a bit more rose dominant, which I don't feel like that it is, at least not off my skin. And I mean, that might be something that comes around later in the dry down. Maybe the rose starts to push a bit more forward in this mix, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, that kind of spicy cumin note is a bit off-putting for me personally. Yeah, this wouldn't be a fragrance that I would tend to gravitate towards naturally. Yeah, I would say it would be a definite no for me with Rose 31. So let's go over to, let's put Rose 31 away. Yeah. And I'll give this a little bit more time to dry down as well, and then I'll come back and get some final thoughts here. Let's go ahead and try Baie 19. I hope this one is a little bit better for me. Let's go ahead and get this opened up here. And here we go. All right, here's my little sample of Baie 19. I'll be putting this on my arm here, my right arm. Man, these are tricky to get off, these little caps. Jeez. Okay. All right, so let's give a little dab here on the arm. Oh, whoa, okay. Yep, I really kind of spilled it on there. All right, so we have a big sample here of Baie 19 on the arm. Okay. Let me just kind of whop this around. Okay, so this is very earthy from the very beginning. It seems like there's a slight floral presence here. A little bit woody as well. But there's an underlying freshness to this. Almost like a watery type of freshness. There's something about this that slightly reminds me of Thé Noir 29, because with Thé Noir 29, it almost kind of feels like an underwater type of fresh vibe. And I'm kind of getting that a little bit with this fragrance as well. But you can definitely smell the earthiness. There's like a deep, earthy, woody undertone here. And I actually really like it. It might be like vetiver or maybe patchouli, possibly. I do really enjoy kind of green. This definitely has a green facet to it as well, and I really enjoy green, woody, earthy style of fragrances. But like I said, there's that underlying freshness to this as well. I like this one. I do really like this one. Interesting. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give these fragrances about an hour or so to kind of dry down and kind of blend a bit more with my skin chemistry, and then I'll come back and give my final thoughts about these fragrances. All right, hey guys, so it's been about an hour. I've let these fragrances dry down on my skin, so I'd like to talk about how these fragrances have kind of interacted with my own skin chemistry and dried down. So first, let's go ahead and start with Rose 31. So Rose 31, that bio kind of funk has taken a kind of slightly subsided. It's still there, but it's not as prominent as it was. But this is just a very kind of green, spicy rose fragrance. The rose has started to creep up a little bit. It's almost like a velvety kind of green rose. It's very smooth in nature. It doesn't necessarily dominate the mix at all. It's just subtly there. You can definitely pick up on it. But I would say for me, this is mainly about the spices. This is a very spicy fragrance, and that's what's really kicking off my skin the most. There is a subtle earthiness here as well, but for me, the dominant note in here, or fragrance family, is spice. So that's really kicking off my skin. I did not like the opening of this fragrance because of that kind of BO funk that the cumin was giving off my skin. The dry down is more tolerable for me, but you know, I wouldn't necessarily consider this to be like a pleasant wear. I mean, you know, maybe it's a fragrance that I need to spend a bit more time with to see if my kind of nose develops, you know, and I find interest in this. But for now, it would be a definite no. I wouldn't purchase a full bottle of this. And to be honest, I'm not even, you know, it doesn't even spark intrigue for me in terms of me wanting to, you know, play with the sample a bit more. Like, it's just not a fragrance that I'm into at all. But yeah, I mean, I think for some people, I can see how some people would really like this, especially if you like spicy, very spicy rose fragrances that have a subtle earthiness to them. And some people really enjoy the smell of cumin. Unfortunately, in this composition, it just really comes off as some BO funk off my skin, and it's a tough one for me to get used to. I can appreciate the artistic composition here, but it's just not for me. So on the other hand, Baie 19, man, I actually really love this fragrance. So my image of this is if it's kind of autumn, you're walking through the jungle and you're kind of stepping on crushed leaves, or maybe you're even in a garden and you're smelling those kind of green herbs after it has just rained outside. So there's almost like that watery kind of earthy freshness that you're getting here. Yeah, I really like this one, to be honest. This is one that I wouldn't necessarily say that it's full bottle worthy for me right now. I feel like I'd like to spend a bit more time with this fragrance to, see what else it has to offer. I feel like this is a fragrance that I could wear and it could introduce something new to me each time. But I do really enjoy the earthiness that this fragrance has. Like, it is kind of like a very kind of damp, soily, earthy style of fragrance with a bit of green kind of foliage, kind of leafiness to it that I really enjoy. Yeah, this is a good one. And I would say of the two, in terms of their performance, I would say Baie 19 is pushing off the skin a little bit more than Rose 31. I wouldn't say either of these are like beast mode performers or anything like that, at least not off these little samples that I got. I mean, my experience might change if I had kind of a spray decant of these or even the full bottle. Maybe the wearing experience might be a little bit different. But I would say Le Labo fragrances in general are kind of, moderate in their performance. And I think that's one criticism that a lot of Le Labo fragrances get, especially after, Estee Lauder kind of took things over. I've heard that some of the fragrances that once were great performers have kind of become watered down. So that's a bit unfortunate. But hopefully they've at least maintained the same quality in smell. I don't know, because I haven't smelled original formulations of some of these fragrances, but Baie 19 is one that I do really enjoy, and it's one that I think I might actually go to the Le Labo store to see if I can get one of those little 5 ml samples that they have, so that way I can spend a bit more time with this fragrance. I'm really drawn to the earthiness of this fragrance and natural kind of fragrances that can put me in nature, and I feel like that's what this fragrance does for me. It kind of puts my mindset in that place, and that's something that I really enjoy. All right, guys, so that's all I have for you for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content, and let me know down in the comment section, are you a fan of Le Labo, and what Le Labo fragrances do you really enjoy? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Well, I hope you guys are staying healthy and well, and I'll see you in the next video.